everybody, how are you? Good evening. My name is Mustagai. I'm an English teacher at FISSEL High School, and I am a member of the English cells. I'm the coordinator. I greet everybody, and I greet also the head of the TV, Mr. Njai, and his team. They are doing a very, very good job in FISSEL. Okay, so we would like to thank them first. After that, I am here with my colleague. He's Mr. John. He is a teacher of English too in FISSEL. He's a member of, the cell. And we are here today in order to talk about 2 points. And the first one is about the coronavirus. Okay, and the second one is the exams paper. Why coronavirus? Because nowadays the whole world is facing, a terrible disease, and it is a news. So we are going to talk about it, and Mr. John is going to explain the meaning of coronavirus, the origins, the symptoms, the mode of transmission, and finally he is going to talk about the preventive measures. And after that, he's going to tackle the exams paper, because nowadays we realize that our students have many difficulties to deal with their exams, mainly in English, because the activity seems very difficult for them, and he is here today in order to explain those activities. So I'm going to let my colleagues to present himself, okay, to introduce himself before we enter into the debate. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Guy. So first of all, I go by the name of Mr. John, a teacher of English here in FISSEL High School. So I would like to thank you as the coordinator of our local cell, on behalf of the other colleague, for the opportunity that you give to me, because I'm not chosen, as I say, as the best teacher. Far from that, I am chosen simply because it is a matter of time. It is a matter of availability. And for that, I would like to say you thank you. Thank you. At the same time, I thank also FISSEL TV channel for what they are doing, as you say, at your very starting point, because they are achieving something that is great here in the area. And I would like to thank all the team of FISSEL TV. So as you say, today we're going to focus at first on what we call a disease. The disease is nothing but coronavirus, that is also called COVID-19. I'm going to start with the word itself. I mean by the word itself, the meaning of coronavirus. If we say corona, it is a Latin word, and the word means crown. A crown. A crown. Most of the time, if I want to explain it, it is what the kings used to put on their heads. Let me corona virus. Corona means crown. Now, coronavirus also is called COVID-19. And COVID-19, Mr. Guy, is an abbreviation. We have COVID, coronavirus, disease 2019. Let me write it word by word. Corona virus, disease 2019. Now I'm going to focus at the same time on the last word, 2019. Why 2019? Because the illness first appears at the end of 2019 in China. But it is not the first kind or the first type of corona. The first one was in 19. in 1960. But this one is coronavirus. And the meaning, corona as a crown, virus, because if you take the microscope, it looks like a crown. Okay, it is what I can say about the meaning. And the origin also is in 2019 and in China, in a city where we call Wuhan. Okay, Wuhan. Thank you so much for that very relevant question.
Thank you, Mr. John, for your explanation. I think that it is clear because, as he said, coronavirus, and the word corona means a crown, a halo that kings put on their hands. Okay, it is a symbol. Okay, and D means disease, and 19 means the year, the year when the virus was discovered in China. Okay, in one mainly. So after this point, Mr. John, I would like to know what are the symptoms of coronavirus?
Okay, thank you so much for asking me such a very important question. Because if we talk about, we cannot talk about corona without talking about the symptoms. Symptoms mean the sign that we can recognize or the manifestation of the disease. Okay, within this, we can name a few of them. The first one that I am going to name is runny nose. Runny nose.
What does it mean, runny nose?
Runny nose, you are going to feel that your nose is putting out something like liquids, water. And running nose, after running nose, we have a sore throat. Sore throat, yeah. Sore, it means that the throat is going to itch. You feel something in your itch. And you have also what we call fever. Your body, you feel fever in your body. That's why they use what you call a flash. How you call it in a thermoflash? Yeah, a thermoflash. In order to know the temperature of the body. Yeah, and we have also cough. Sometimes you can cough.
What does it mean, cough? Can you explain it?
Yes, I can make the gesture. You can say, this is coughing. Okay, after coughing, we can have sneeze or sneezing. So most of the time, people use to put ing, sneezing or coughing. Sneezing is when you use your nose, you say, so, right? At the same time, also, we can name difficulty in breathing. Difficulty in breathing. Yep, let me erase here. You have difficulties in breathing. So if you breathe, you feel that you don't have enough air most of the time, and you have a lack of air. One can say. We can have also a headache. But this is not a common sign. Most of the common signs are runny nose, sore throat, fever, coughing, sneezing, difficulty in breathing, and this is the last one, headache. Okay, this is what you call the symptoms or the manifestation of the disease.
Okay, so thank you very much, Mr. John. I think it is very, very clear, and the symptoms are very clear, the manifestation, because first we have runny nose. I'm going to summarize. You have sore throat. It means when you feel something, okay, you feel like, okay, and fever. It means when the temperature is getting higher and higher, and coughing, to sneeze, a sudden explosion of the nose and the mouth. Okay, thank you very much. So, okay, but I think that these symptoms looks very much like those of the flu.
The flu, yeah.
Okay, because a person have a flu can have these symptoms, the same symptoms. Okay, and for me, in order to know that a person has coronavirus, we have to do the test. Okay, and I think that the test is the only way for me to know about if the person suffer from the disease or not. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. John. After this point, we are going to tackle the next point, and it is the way of transmission. Can you tell us about the way of transmission? Take the mic.
Okay, thank you. That's a very good question. So let's talk about the transmission of the disease. It means how can we get the virus in our body? It is only in two ways, Mr. Guy. If you are in contact or if you are in touch with an infected person, being in contact with an infected person. That's it. And the second one is the droplet that an infected person can get out. Droplets that are from an infected person. What I mean about being in contact with an infected person, it is when we live together, if you use my tools, what I use as an infected person, you can get the virus.
For example,
if you use the same phone,
I use my phone.
if you use the same glass, if I touch the chalk and I give it to you, this is a way of catching the virus.
Yes,
that's it. And the second one, if you don't use a mask, and if you cough or if you sneeze, you are going to get out what you call droplets. And these droplets, if you are faced to a person that is infected, it can transmit the disease to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. John. I mean, the way of transmission of the virus is very, very, very important to know, because here in Senegal, we live in maybe huge families, okay, and we are much of the time in contact with our friends, okay, so we have to control ourselves and control our movements, and be very, very, very careful, because the disease is here, okay, and it is a big and a great threat for everybody. Thank you so much. So we are going to continue and tackle, the preventive measures, okay?
You can talk about the treatment at first.
Yes, the treatment. Very good. Let's talk about the treatment. Okay, I think that every illness for me has a treatment, but do you think that there is a treatment for this disease, Mr. John?
Okay, thank you for the question. Okay, I'm teasing my my colleagues that are science. Most of the time I tell them that you have failed to get the vaccine or the treatment of this disease, because at the moment that I'm talking to you, there is no vaccine and there is no specific treatment for the coronavirus. That's why we have to be very careful and to pay attention to this illness, because if you don't have a vaccine for a disease, so it is something that is very, very dangerous. And the treatment, I'm going to answer that there is no vaccine until this moment, and there is no specific treatment for this illness. Okay.
I am too much afraid. because there is no treatment, no vaccine for this disease. Oh, it is awful. So it means that we have to be very careful, okay? And among us, among friends, if I don't come to see you or if I don't visit you, okay, don't be angry because of the situation. Everyone has to be very careful and to be aware of the dangers. Okay, thank you very much. So, Mr. John, we are going to move to the next point, and I think that it is a preventive measures. But how can we prevent ourselves from the disease?
Okay, that's good. So, even if we know that there is no vaccine and there is no specific treatment for this illness, we have to pay attention. And the fact of paying attention means the preventive measures. It means that whenever you are going out, we can put our mask. Wear mask. Before wearing the mask, I can say that we have to wash our hands regularly with water and soap. Wash hands with water and soap. This water must be warm water. It is, warm water. After washing our hands with water and soap, we can use also hand sanitizers. Hands sanitizers. Or we can respect what is called the social distancing. Social distancing. Here are the most common methods that we have to take care if you want to avoid this very bad illness.
Okay, thank you very much. So I'm going to summarize. Okay, these are the different preventive measures. So you have to wear a mask when you go out, and you have to wash your hand with water and soap, or use a hand sanitizers. Okay, and respect the social distancing. People must do that. Social distancing cannot be, or we will have some difficulties to practice this in Senegal, because we Senegal, we are living in social living. Okay, everyone wants to be too much closer to his neighbors or to his friends. But now when they ask us to respect this social distance, okay, it will be a problem, and maybe people can be frustrated. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because it is not among our values. We are living in a society that people are living together, people are always in touch. Okay, it means the social warming, etc., etc. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. John. It is very, 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 very clear. And do you think that this disease has an impact? I mean, consequences in our society?
There are many consequences about this disease, because if we remember at the very beginning, our authorities told people to stay at home, and this is what you call the lockdown. And there was also a curfew. A curfew, it is when they say at 8 o'clock we start our activities and we stop them at 6 o'clock. Yes. This is what we call a curfew. And this is going to have an impact on our economic and our culture and all the sectors, because people stay at home without working, people stay at home without eating, people stay at home also without having health care, because they don't go to the hospital. Sometimes you can be ill, but you stay at home without having any medical care or any medication help. So sometimes people can die even in their own houses. And this is many about the consequences that this coronavirus cause to the whole country. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. So, Mr. John, as you said, coronavirus has many consequences. First of all, I would like to talk about the social consequences. Today, people cannot move. Okay, they are locked down in their houses, in their areas. Okay, and many people also have died from this disease. Many people, many Senegalese people. Okay, and after the social consequences, there are also the economic consequences, because many people also have lost their jobs. Okay, and a lot of money that was supposed to finance some activities are now gathered and used to fight against coronavirus. Okay, and this is going to bring about an imbalance, okay, in our economy. Okay, it is a very terrible situation that we are living now. Okay, may the Almighty help us to get out of this situation. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. John. Okay, so the first point is already dealt. So we are going to tackle the second point, and the second point is about, the exams papers, the baccalaureate exam, the baccalaureate paper, because we English teacher, we realize that our students have many difficulties in order to deal very well with their exams, because they don't know the instructions. Okay, but as we said, if the instruction is clear, the activity will be done easily. Okay, today Mr. John is going to deal with this point. Okay, Mr. John, can you explain this about?
Okay, thank you so much for giving me back the microphone. As you say, the second point that we are going to start is the exam paper, the back paper. Why the back paper? Because we know that at the moment being, students failed to have good marks in the back exam. And I myself, I say why? It's simply because they do not understand most of the time the instruction or the text itself. Text, if you are with a text or if you face a text, the first thing that you should do is to try to get the meaning of the text.
Yes.
Try to understand the text. And to understand the text, you have to ask yourself, what is the general idea of the text? Or what is the text talking about? If you try to answer to these two questions, it will be very easy for you. After that, you have to try to get a subtitle or a title for each paragraph. Read the paragraph, try to catch their meaning also. Because most of the time we have activities like matching, and this matching can be the number of paragraph, and each paragraph is going to correspond with a definition. They give the definition in column A, and they ask the student to match them with their paragraph numbers. And this is very important, because if you don't understand the text, it won't be easy for you to give the correct answer of the paragraph numbers.
Okay, thank you very much. So it is very clear. If the text is not understood, as he said, it won't be very difficult to deal with it. So you have to understand what the text is talking about first, and you will be able to do the activities. Okay, Mr. John, I'm sorry. So we are going to deal with reading comprehension. Okay, and in reading comprehension, we can have many activities. First of all, we can have vocabulary in context. What does it mean, vocabulary in context?
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you very much, Mr. Guy. So if we talk about vocab in context, it is sometimes words that are in the text, and we give their different meaning. The meaning can be the synonyms or the opposite of the word that are in the text, and this is what you call the antonyms. If you talk about vocab in context, the context means a word can have a different or a variety of meaning, but it depends to the context that is given to the student. And they have to read the text in order to try to find, because most of the time the paragraph are indicated. It is something that find in the text the following words that refer to the following paragraph. Yes. And then the paragraph numbers are developed, so you have to read it and in order to find the correct answer of the vocab in context.
Okay, thank you. It is clear. So that is vocabulary in context. It means that, as you said, a word has a meaning only in a context when it is put in a context. Okay, so it is very, very important for learners to know that. Okay, and after that we have most of the time we have matching activities. Can you explain us what is matching?
Okay, let me write a little bit on the board. If you have matching, matching, if you talk to the verb to match, it is to bind or to combine sometimes. And here we can have what you call the titles of the different paragraph. And in the second column, we have what you call paragraph numbers. We talk about this one. So here we have a definition. The paragraphs are defined, and then here we have dots. You read the text, and if the first definition is going with 2, so you match. Or sometimes it is a missing word that you are going to write only. This is what you call matching.
Okay, thank you very much. So it is very clear. After matching activities that we can have in reading comprehension, we can also have those activities, for example, true or false. And most of the time, students are asked to justify their choice, okay, their statement. So, how can you explain that point? I mean, true or false activities. How?
Okay, the true or false activities, it is a type of activities that most of the time comes out in the back exam.
Yes.
Because,
it is every time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Every year it is out. And here they ask the student to read the text, yes, because they give them statements. Statements mean sentences that are extract in the text. And they ask them if they are true or false. To know that, you must read the text at first, and to know that these statements are true or false. And after that, they ask them to give a relevant passage, yes, as a justification. They justify. Yes. But as you say a while ago, in the back exam, most of the time they give them the true or false answers. Yes. Because most of the time, our students, as you know their level, they are making a kind of Jiffy Java job, as you say. But to avoid that, they give them true. This sentence is true. Yes. That sentence is false. And the students now to give the justification only. They only focus on the justification. Okay. To avoid the Jiffy Java. Thank you.
Okay, because our students love, I mean, very, very easy things. Okay, yes, they are very lazy. And when you ask them to read the text, because of their laziness, they don't do that, because they said most of the time the text is very long. Yes, and they refuse to read it. That's why they do what we call the Jiffy Jaffa Jeff. Okay? And to avoid all that, this activity has been changed. Okay? The student is given a true statement, and it is up to him to find out the definition, the justification in the text. Okay. Thank you very much. So, okay. So after that, we can have a closed passage. Closed passage. Closed passage. In these activities, when I correct my learners' papers, I realize that most of them fail. Why? Because they don't read the text. They don't know that you have to read the text first before doing anything. Okay? So can you explain what this activity means, close passage?
Okay. Thank you so much. So let me write the word. Yes. Close passage. So, as you say, they fail most of the time to give the correct word because they have a power level at first, and second, they are very lazy. They don't have time to read the text in order to find the missing word. Because close passage means in French, passage à trous. Most of the time, it is the summary of the text. Now, they sum up the text in some lines or in some sentences, and they have dots, and they ask the student to fill in, and the words are indicated in the paragraph. As you say, you can say coronavirus, or and they give paragraph 1, and this word can be or COVID. To find the word COVID, you must read the text at first. But if you don't understand also coronavirus, or this or mean it is the correspondent of corona. So if you don't read the text correctly, it will be very difficult for you to get the correct word. And here also, the students are very, very lazy. They don't have time to read the text. Yes. And you must read the text, try to get the meaning, try to understand it in order to make a good summary. Because the summary means close passage, and there are some missing words that you should find in the text in order to complete correctly.
Okay, definitely, Mr. John, you are so right. So we are going to move on to the next point, and the next point is about referencing. Referencing. So what is referencing?
Thank you for asking me the meaning of referencing. Most of the time, if you talk about referencing, it is an activity that is related to the pronouns. The pronouns, because we can have you, and it is in paragraph 1, and you are asked what is the you replacing. So to refer to mean to replace. To replace most of the time. Because we can say Fatou is my friend. To avoid the repetition of Fatou, you say she. And we underline the she, and you ask the student what is the she replacing in the text. And this is nothing but Fatou. So this is what you call the referencing.
Thank you very much, Mr. John, for this explanation. It is very, very clear. I mean, referencing, it is nothing else to replace. And most of the time, the word that we search is not forward, but most of the time the word is before. Yes. Okay. So you don't have to be aware of that. Okay. And after reading comprehension, there is also an activities that is called communicative competence or linguistic competence. And in these activities, we can have gap filling or dialect completion. Good. And what is dialect completion, Mr. John?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Guy, for this important question that is very relevant, and I would like to come back with. If you talk about dialect completion, a dialogue, it is at first an interaction or a discussion or something like an interview between two persons or more than two persons. If they discuss, anyway, we're going to have questions and answers. Sometimes the students are given the answer in order to ask the corresponding questions. But they fail because if we talk about questions, we can have tag question, asking question at first, because I'm going to tackle asking question. If we talk about asking question, the first can be tag question. The second can be yes or no question. And the last is WH questions. If we talk about tag question, it is a statement and there is a small question at the end, and the students are asked to confirm or to reject a given statement. If I say Mr. Guy is a teacher of English, you say isn't he? Or if you say Fatu is my friend, isn't she? Fatu plays handball, doesn't she? This is about tag questions. Now if we come back to yes no question, it is a type of question that is always in the interrogative form. So we are going to invert the subject and the auxiliary. If I say are you a student, this is yes no question, because we are going to answer with yes I'm a student, or no I'm not a student. Or we can have WH question. WH question are interrogative words like where, when, why, which, who like, etc. If you say where do you live, it is about places. How old are you? It is about the age. This is what we call WH question or H questions. And in a dialogue we used to find this kind of question that the students are asked to answer correctly in the back exam. That's why we use to tackle them in our English classes.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. John. I just want to add something about these activities. I mean, asking question or dialogue completion. In dialogue completion, as you said, it is an interaction. It is an interaction, and it is a way of testing students' skills in communication. Okay, so the answer that we should ask is guided by the answer that is given by our interlocutor. Okay, that's what I say to my student. You have to read the answer first, and the answer is going to guide you to ask the correct questions. Okay, most of the time. Okay, thank you very much, sir. We are going now to deal with gap filling. Yes, what is gap filling, Mr. John?
Gap filling is nothing but some paragraphs or some sentences where we have blanks, like this. There are some missing words. Most of the time, these missing words can be logical connectors if it is the back paper. Logical connectors or linking words. It can be also, if you talk about notions and functions. Notions and functions. So they give you a statement, and there are some functions that you should give. Can you give an example? Yep. You can say capacity. You can say ability. You can say disagreement. You can say consequences. You can say dislike. You can say habits. All these are, but the words are in a box at the very top of the exercise, and you look at each sentence, you read it, and you try to get the meaning in order to take one word and you put it together. That's what you call the gap filling. Even it can be used with the logical connection, as I say. It can be also notions and functions.
Okay, so thank you very much, Mr. John. This point is over. So we are going to deal with the last point of reading comprehension. I mean writing activities. Because you are a teacher of English, as I am a teacher of English, and we all know that our students have difficulties to write, and most of the time they give their papers without doing these activities, and they don't, and they are not aware that if they do so, they are missing something. Because most of the time, writing is marked 5 or 6 out of 6. Okay, it means that if the student doesn't do that, he's going to lose 6 points, and he's going to be marked 14 out of 20, and it is not obvious that he will have the average. Okay, it is a difficulty. So, Mr. John, can you tell us about the importance of this activity?
Thank you very much. So writing is very important because, as you say, it shows that the students master the theme or understand the text. Because I used to say my students, if you don't understand the text, try to go in the writing. You read the topic. If you read it and if you understand the topic, it will help you to know what is the text about. So that's why writing is very important, because writing is linked always with the text. It is the same theme. So we have to focus on writing. I say the student, don't neglect writing. It is 6 out of 6. But our students are very lazy. They copy and paste. And I say the corrector, the marker, do not like this. Because we know the text. It is a text that we give to you. If you copy and paste, so we will recognize it. Anyway, so you have to try to do your best even if there is mistake. What is important is the fact of trying. In writing, we can have 4 types of writing. We can have a dialogue completion. We can have a letter writing. We can write an article. We can write an essay. Even if we can write a speech. Let me write them on the board. Essay writing. We have letter writing. We have article. We can have dialogue completion, and we can have sometimes a speech. Most of the time, even if it can be an article or a speech. But essay, letter, and dialogue comes out every time. If we talk about an essay, it is most of the time the question that they ask the student to give their point of view. If you say, do you think that coronavirus is a very dangerous illness? You have to give your opinion. To say yes to my mind or to my opinion as far as I'm concerned. Sometimes the topic can be in 2 parts. You can say in the one hand, if you say, do you agree? Then in the one hand you can agree, in the other hand we can disagree. That's why we can develop 2 parts. And this is what you call essay. But if it is a letter writing, mind that there is 2 types of letter. We have formal letter and we have informal letter. And if you are writing a letter, the corrector, if she looks the page or the sheet, he must know that this is a letter writing, because there are different parts that must be out.
So can you tell us about the different 2 types of letters?
The different?
The two different types of letters.
Okay. Formal letter. The opposite is informal letter. And they have what you call it is 2 types of letter. If you talk about formal letter, it is a letter that we can write to a VIP, a very important person. Because if I'm writing the President of the Republic a letter, it is not the same way that I'm going to use to write a letter to my pen friend or to my mate or to my cousin. It's not the same way. Yep, you write. So if you're writing a letter to a VIP, it means an authority. You are going to write an formal letter. Informal letter, it can be your pen friend.
What is a pen friend? Most of the time you don't have difficulties to know.
Thank you so much. A pen friend, if you talk about the word itself, pen, mean, yep, what we use to write. I don't have a pen with me, and you also don't have a pen with you. A friend, everybody know. Pen friend, it is a friend that you can share with writing. So you use writing. Maybe you are in the US and I'm here in FISSEL Baran, so we can exchange in writing. So I write and you answer, etc. Pen friend can be called also pen pal. In another way, it can be called pen pal. So there is no difference. And if you talk about formal letter, there is a layout, because some of the students do not master the way of writing a letter.
Yes, can you design the formal of
Okay. So if we have the page like this, this is the page, what you call the sheet. What do you call the sheet? Here at the very top, in the right, you have to write the date and the place. Date and the place. Here at the very top, you have to write the full address of the receiver. Full address of the receiver. The person that you write the letter. For example, if you say, we are in the theme, the coronavirus. Write a letter to the Minister of Health or to the Minister of Education to tell him the consequences of reopening the classes or the school.
Yes.
So, if you know the minister full address, the minister's name is Mr. Sar, yeah. And the full name is Abdoulaye Diouf Sar. So you write here Abdoulaye Diouf Sar. The ministry, where the ministry is located, it is in Diamniadio. You write it. The number of his cell phone, you write it, or the number of the ministry, you write it. The email, etc. All the full address of the receiver, you have to write it. And here in the middle, it is about the salutation. You start with dear, and you know the name, it is dear Abdoulaye Diouf Sar. Because this is going to help us at the end here. Here in the first point, we are going to open the opening of the letter. In the second, we have the body of the letter itself, and here we have the thanks. You can thanks, but in the opening, you are not obliged to greet. You just give him information about that you live here in FISSEL Baran, and you write him and you give it the purpose of the body. Here in writing, you can use firstly, or first of all, or the linking words. Here we can write then, and here we can write finally or at last. Here, if you want to close, as you know the name of the minister, you have to write yours sincerely. But if you don't know the name, here just write dear minister. But if you say dear Abdoulaye Diouf Sar, you write yours sincerely. But if you don't know the name, you write dear minister, you write here yours faithfully. There is a difference between the name and the minister. Okay, this is what I can say about a formal letter. But as colleagues, I used to say that there are different types of writing a letter. It's not the same or the sample letter that we can write. The way that I'm going to use it or to tackle it, it can be not the same way that you're going to use it with your students. So there is variety of writing a letter.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. John. It is very, very clear, because tackling this point means that you are going to help our students because they face many difficulties in writing.
We are the teacher of English. and we love it because it's our job. Now, coming back to the importance of English, it is a question that is very large, and I can say that I'm not at ease to answer because I can give some informations and failed all at the same time. But I used to say my students, I'm not doing, I'm not teaching only to the fact of teaching, but I teach you in order to let you master the language. You don't need the language in order to have good marks only, but try to get some informations, try to master the language, even if it can be very difficult for you. But do your best, because only God knows. Tomorrow, they can be in an English country, and if they go there, if they do not master the language, or if they don't have the habit of speaking or exchanging, they're gonna have problems. So that's why I urge them most of the time to try to speak, to keep in touch, to be in link with the language. Because if you talk about the importance of English, I used to say my students, the word is English. In one word, the word is English. Because wherever you go, people are speaking English. If you master the language, wherever you go, you can give your point of view. You can exchange with the others. But the Serer or the Wolof is a local language. It only stay here in our country, and even if you go to Gambia, the language that you're gonna speak is English. English is important because it is an universal language. It is an international language. It is the language of the trade. It is the language of the VIP. Sorry if I go far. It is the language of the VIP, and it is a language that is used by everyone. If you want to live in this world, anywhere you must master the language. So that's why I say that it is very important, and to answer the question will be very, very tough for me.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Mr. John. Okay, English, as you said, is an international language. Okay, it's very important for everybody. Everybody, I say, to learn the language and try to master it. Okay, even if you are in scientific stream, sometimes students who are in these streams, they neglect the language, and they don't know that nowadays the most important data are in English, are written in English. The most important books are written in English. Yes, are in English. If you go on Google in order to do some researches, you are obliged to know, I mean, English just a little bit in order to do what you want, to do your researches. So that's the reason why I urge our students to learn English. Okay, English is a key, and the key is used to open. Yeah, and the key of the world today is English. So everyone has to do his best in order to master or to know just a little bit, okay, about the language. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. John. It was a very, very good, a good pleasure in order to receive you on FISSEL Badan channel. I thank you so much for this brilliant presentations that will be for me very benefit for our students because they need it for their examination. So I let you, say bye to our viewers.
So thank you once again to our dear coordinator, a man and a colleague and a friend that is very dynamic. That's why you are leading our cell, and everything is okay there, because all the colleagues know that you are very committed and you do your best in order to make things best down FISSEL Badan High School. So I would like also to thank our students and to wish them good luck in the back exam, to say hello to the other colleagues that are following us, and all the internet users or all the followers of this channel, FISSEL TV channel. And I also thanks the team that is doing this achievement. So it was my last word. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. So, thank you. See you next time then.